Fox News alert: the president set to meet this hour with coronavirus survivors just moments from now amid growing controversy over reopening the economy. Welcome back to America's Newsroom. I'm Ed Henry. Good to see you again, Sandra.
And good morning to you, Ed. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith. The U.S. now has over 500,000 cases of COVID-19 with more than 23,000 deaths. And while the president gears up to meet with people who have recovered from the virus, he is also making it clear that he calls the shots when it comes to reopening the country, although not everyone sees it the same way.
I'm going to put it very simply. The President of the United States has the authority to do what the President has the authority to do, which is very powerful. The President of the United States calls the shots. If we weren't here for the states, you would have had a problem in this country like you've never seen before. Now, with that being said, we're going to work with the states because it's very important.
Willie, the only way this situation gets worse is if the president creates a constitutional crisis. If he says to me, I declare it open, and that is a public health risk, or it's reckless with the welfare of the people of my state, I will oppose it.
Live Fox Team coverage for you now with Dr. Mark Siegel. He is standing by. First to Chief White House correspondent John Roberts. John, a lot of reaction to the president's words in that briefing yesterday.
Yeah, there's a lot of constitutional experts who are weighing in saying who has the authority here. We hope to hear more from the president in about a half an hour's time, where, as Ed mentioned, he will be meeting with people who have been sick with and recovered from the coronavirus. It's likely we'll hear more about the new advisory board on reopening the country that the president will be announcing today, and probably more on who has the authority to reopen the country. The president tweeting within the last hour, quote, Cuomo, this is the New York governor, has been calling daily, even hourly, begging for everything, most of which should have been the state's responsibility, such as new hospitals, beds, ventilators, etc. I got it all done for him and everyone else, and now he seems to want independence. That won't happen. Governor Cuomo and the governors of 5 other states in the region banded together yesterday to come up with a plan to reopen their states. The governors of California, Oregon, and Washington state also taking similar action. But the president declaring at his daily coronavirus briefing yesterday that the authority to reopen the nation remains his. Listen here. When somebody's the President of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be. The authority is total. It's total. And the governors know that.
Constitutional scholars tell Fox News that the president has persuasive authority over reopening. In other words, he can encourage governors to do it, but that it's up to the governors themselves to lift restrictions in their individual states. Here's Judge Napolitano on that earlier today on Fox.
The federal government can help out with cash, it can help out with resources, it can help out with information, and it can help out with guidelines. But in terms of the actual power, for example, to reopen Broadway theaters, to reopen stadiums, to reopen restaurants, to reopen other parts of the economy that have been shut down, it is the governors who have shut them down, and it is the governors who will make the decision to open it up.
Now, on the president's new advisory board to reopen the country, the announcement expected later on today at the Rose Garden for the daily coronavirus briefing. What we know of this advisory board so far is that President Trump will take a leading role. Mark Meadows, as chief of staff, will play a supporting role, and that will involve a wide variety of outside advisors coordinated by key administration officials. We are told by the White House that this will not be like the coronavirus task force, which meets every day. This group will act as an advisory board to help develop information and recommendations on how and when the country can be reopened. Dr. Anthony Fauci saying yesterday that reopening the country won't be like the green flag is waved at a racetrack and then everybody races to get back to work. Fauci saying it will be more of a rolling reentry. Listen here.
Some people may think it's going to be like a light switch on and off. You know, we're either out and we're in. It's just not going to be that way because we have a very large country and there are different impacts. As you see, New York is very different from other parts of the country.
And we will see what the president has to say about 11:30 or so. We should get the tape playback. I would expect more toward the noon hour, and we'll be here for you on that. Sandra?
We will be looking for that. John Roberts, thank you. Ed?
Thanks, Andrew. The CDC out with a brand new report on how well social distancing measures seem to be working, showing they've helped slow the spread of the virus, but also warning it's too soon
to end those restrictions. Joining us now, Dr. Mark Siegel, professor of medicine, NYU Langone, and a Fox News contributor. I got to say, Doctor, I'm a faithful viewer of Tucker Carlson tonight. I was watching, I was standing by with everyone as you got that swab test, and we were all grateful to learn, even though you had been coughing and whatnot, that you tested negative for the coronavirus. You can comment on that, please. But also the president this hour, we focus a lot on the people who have died, the people who are suffering right now, and rightly so. Too many people have been suffering. But the president also wants to shine a light on the people who have gotten the coronavirus and are getting better. Can you hear me, Dr. Siegel?
In China, where the coronavirus began, fears that a second wave could be beginning, with cases imported back into the country. The Chinese setting up mobile laboratories and imposing tough new restrictions in a remote Chinese region on the border with Russia, a 28-day quarantine for anyone arriving, and 14 days for people living in places where a new case has been detected. We do need to do many tests, this Chinese Communist Party official says. Russia had apparently avoided Europe's coronavirus crisis, but cases are escalating. Moscow and St. Petersburg in lockdown, and President Putin saying the military could be deployed. The situation is changing daily, he told ministers. Unfortunately, it's not changing for the better. Coronavirus reappearing in places and people that had won the battle. South Korea reporting a small number of infections, just over 100 cases, in patients who had recovered. Scientists fear not reinfections, but that the virus has reactivated. Its unpredictability means nervous weeks in places like Spain, Italy and Austria, where restrictions are slowly lifting.
The way down is much slower than the way up. That means control measures must be lifted slowly and with control.
The French president extending the lockdown there for another month. The epidemic is not under control, he told his country. The US aircraft carrier, USS Harry S. Truman, extending its time at sea to avoid the virus, Navy officials said, and maintain capability. While back in Asia, calls for unity at a summit of Southeast Asian leaders, separated by video, and a warning against complacency. If any of us fails, one leader said, the rest will follow. And despite that call for unity, Savannah, what we are seeing around the world really is a patchwork of approaches and challenges, and that is likely to be the new normal until there's a vaccine.